Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We have bellied up to the bar today with two lovely ladies that are going to educate us on food. They are successful real estate moguls. They are out in one of the few cities that I actually still want to visit. There's only a handful of them. They're out in Seattle, and they have done something that I've always loved. Is they're doing something for other people. There's always that great saying. None of us wanted to hear this at Christmas time. It's about giving, not receiving. But the rest of the year, it does matter to give. So we have with us Christina Sloan and Faith. I'm gonna butcher your name so badly. Let me see what I can do here. Masmir.
So butchered.
So what is it? Mesamir. Okay, see. So, but welcome to the Above the Bar podcast. I look, you have no idea how many times I tried to pronounce your name and just knew that I was going to butcher that shit. And I just kept sitting there going, I can get this. I'm going to get this. No, I just, there was I can't imagine how many times that between Christina's name, probably people spelling it wrong.
Oh,
yeah, that Y is kind of unique.
It's okay. My daughters are Crystal and Kristen. Krystyle. Krystyna. Like they're just horribly butchered. So we're gonna get ready here. We're talking about charitable, and they have a unique charity that they've started on their own, the Giving Wave, not Way, as I tried to butcher it the first time. And what was funny is I got it right the first day, and for some reason on the second day I just wanted to call it Way. So
I think it's Subway or something.
It could have been. I don't know. It just felt like the Giving Way just sounded right to me for whatever reason in my head. So, but we're gonna get into things here. We're going to talk about what they've got going on, but let's go ahead and get some house cleaning done before we get too far. First things first, as always, if you've got a charitable organization, I expect them to send me one here. We've got the big sign behind me, sticker and a cause. So whatever your charitable organization, whether you have or a podcast you've got going, I don't care what it is. The way we grow here at the bar and the way we get more seats at the bar is you reach out to me on our Facebook, which is the Above the Bar podcast, or our network, which is the Earplug Podcast Network, and then our LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. They're all the Above the Bar podcast. You reach out to me, let me know what you got going on. I'll tell you where to send the sticker to, and we'll throw your sticker up on the big board here. Once it's up there, we'll read about whatever that charitable organization is. The other thing is maybe your media is a little hungry and a little houseless. You need to reach out to Media by Dibs, which I love the fact that you use the term houseless, not homeless. I love that. Reach out to Media by Dibs. You can find Dibs on Instagram is Media by Dibs, and that's DIBS. On Facebook, it's Media by Dibs. Or if you're on LinkedIn, you can reach out to Andrew Dibble and you let him know that you want to belly up to the bar. As soon as you mention that to him, you're getting 10% off your first order with him and a free consultation. So the bar is open now. I mean, before I started podcasting, I did 20 years in the Marine Corps. There was nothing prima donna about me. And now I'm looking at myself going, my lighting's not right. I got to fix my lighting now. So let me fix this here. Don't I look so much better now? It doesn't look like anything. So it's nothing changed at all. But let me fix my mic so I sound better. So ridiculous. So welcome to the bar.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
So I want to explain your charity as much as I know it, but I'd rather you guys explain it also. So you're out in Portland. Keep it weird.
Yes.
Which I heard something else today. So they were picking on me because before the show started today, anybody who knows me knows I love food shows. my 5-year-old sits and watch cooking shows and with me. There's very few that I don't like. I don't like the ones where they go into restaurants and they're like, "Your restaurant sucks. We're gonna tear it all up." I don't watch those. I'm like, this is boring to me. I like the story shows and how chefs got to where they are and all those things. So they were in Portland, and I found out that Portland is the most vegan friendly city in America, but it also has a nickname of Porkland because
No.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's got that nick. You can't know. I'm telling you, Christina, it's there. It's a thing. And you guys have Michelin stars don't come to Portland, but you have some crazy number of food trucks,
Mm-hmm.
like, and it's pods, which I thought was really cool. It's not like they just show up on corners. It's almost like people are like, I'm taking this corner and we're all just going to put food trucks here, which I
Food
just
truck
thought was,
communities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
and I got to ask you, because one that really stuck out to me was, have you gone to Moondot?
I haven't heard of that. There's so many, so it
So-
could be really good. We just may not have heard
What is
of
that
it.
one?
So Moondot is a vegan Korean food.
How do I
Putting it
not
on
know
the
this?
list.
Yeah. We'll be
So-
contacting you.
So yeah, it like popped up and she's like, came over from Vietnam, or no, Vietnamese, not Korean, Vietnamese. It's Vietnamese vegan food because she came over from Vietnam when she was 2 years old, blah, blah, blah. It's like her whole story's on it. So, but that's a whole nother thing. So I'm curious. So tell us a little bit about, how you started the giving wave. Like, where does this even begin?
So I'm a local realtor, and Faith has like all the home loan needs that you would ever need covered. And we were just, chatting one day, and we're like, how can we help people that we're not already helping? We help people get their dream home. We help people with investment properties every day. But what about people who aren't able to afford those options, right? And we're really passionate about the vegan lifestyle and having that positive impact on the environment. And in Portland, we happen to have a huge houseless community. And so we're like, that's what we need to work with right there. And being able to network with local vegan restaurants to feed the houseless community it's really about community and promoting the vegan lifestyle.
Now you keep using that term houseless community. Is that something you came up with? Is that something you heard somewhere? Because when I read that on one of the posts before you guys came on, I was like, I really like that. Home is what you make of it, but house is different. So where did you come up with that?
I think you just said it. It's like, I think that in general, just because these people aren't living in a house doesn't mean they don't have a home. So we have a really good photo that we took of a tent, and it's under this beautiful tree, and it has this sign in front of it that says live life in full bloom, which I think kind of explains that. Like it was beautiful. And I've seen other really beautiful things people have done outside of their tents. So it's just a way of respect. Like they do have a home. It's just, yeah, they don't have a house. So
It just was so perfect when I heard that. I was like, I like it. So now, how long have you been actually doing this entire charitable organization?
we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long. It's been under a year.
Okay.
And we just barely got our nonprofit status.
So you're an actual 501c now?
Yes, we are. Yeah, finally. It's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
A little cheers for you. I mean,
Thank
that's a
you.
thing.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And it's been awesome just kind of like, having this idea and just watching it grow and watching the passion that the community had behind it, from the vegan restaurants that we're working with to other nonprofits that we've been able to network with, and how everyone just kind of supports each other and comes together for the common good. It's been amazing to see all the, positive vibes and support that we've received.
Absolutely.
So that it's funny how you say like the vibe. So that was one of the things when I first was reading and Faith had reached out to me and was like, hey, I want to be on your podcast. I'm like, okay, bully, push me around. And I was looking, I was like, I guess it kind of threw me off that it was all vegan. how is that even just in that houseless community? And again, we're going to make that a thing.
Yes.
In that houseless community, how was that first received when you were like, hey, here's some Satan food? I know it's Satan, but I love saying
I
so you
do.
understand. I have one daughter my daughters that I mentioned their names. One is a vegetarian and one is a vegan.
Yes.
So I had to learn to cook,
Bring
and
one.
Yes.
I've learned, and it was funny. Like at first, I was like, I ain't having this vegan stuff in my house, and then I realized we're big vegetable people. I raise big vegetable gardens. I probably got upstairs, 75 heads of garlic. It's you know,
Whoa.
we grow our own, so we were always doing that. But it was one of those kind of things where how was that? I'm just curious. How was that received by people when you were like, "Hey, here's a meal, but it's this is a vegan meal." Like I love jackfruit, also, just so you know.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you want? I could answer to that if you want, unless you have.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, people are just grateful to have food. People are grateful that you stopped and considered them at all and smiled at them and are kind to them. And then we actually had one guy, he was amazing. He asked us, "Is this vegetarian?" Like, it's vegan. He goes, "Oh my God, even better." So I think the response is good.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Something else that a lot of people think of is like, okay, they're handing out vegan meals. Like, this is like bland, like mush plate of tofu.
Yeah.
That's what everyone
Yes.
and
Their
some broccoli.
expectation, yeah.
No, this is like, you don't know it's vegan unless we tell you it's vegan,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of the times these people are happy to get the meal. They might not want to conversate. They might not want to hear about what the meal is. It looks good. It smells good. Thank you. Bye. And they enjoy it. And we might walk by them later. That was an awesome like taco salad, or that was great like chicken fried rice. Like, yeah, it was vegan. Like,
Yeah.
so you
So
know,
true.
these restaurants are artists with their food. They're so creative. They're so like detailed. I think one of the first places that we work with actually goes out and like
Yeah.
forges for their ingredients.
Oh,
and just
really? They go that deep.
smart. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
See, that's cool to me that they go that deep with it, and they're really getting that far into it. I mean, how? So I got to ask this: is there any meals where like that? This is your. So you've partnered with some restaurants. I should mention that first. So you
yes.
partner with some restaurants. Go ahead and say the restaurants that you're partnering with to get these meals out.
Ben and Esther's has been huge. I want to put them out there first because they're doing ongoing donations.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, they just call me and they're like, "We have a bunch of bagels. Can you come pick them up?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." I pick them up, and I usually, if I don't have time that day, then I'll just to like actually hand them out. I'll just go to shelters. And no, I've never like wasted a single bagel. Like, people want them. Like, it's huge. And that's just bagels. They've also done like full meals that we went and handed out.
Yeah.
So Ben and Esther's Vegan Jewish Deli. We have Secret Pizza Society.
Yes, vegan pizza.
You on vegetarian? You're gonna have to help me.
Yes.
Quite a few.
And then Uban Soko.
Yes.
And that's the one that forages for all their
They're
ingredients.
amazing. So good. That's like feel good Japanese comfort food. It's just, and it's like all of these have different it's like a different cuisine as well. So it's like you're not just getting what people might expect. Like, you're getting pizza, you're getting like all these different things.
Ruby Forret, they made us a really nice like potato hash.
Yeah.
It looked like it had meat in it, but it was vegan
Right.
substitute, you know.
So what were they using for their substitute?
Oh, so much good stuff. She uses all like you know, she has more than just vegan. It's like gluten-free and like nut-free and like, so what was in her actual ingredients, I don't know. I don't know what she buys. I know that there's like Morningstar that could be like meat crumbles, or there's like different
so many
substitutes.
different things. Yeah, I know. I mean, and we haven't even gotten to as many restaurants as, like, it's countless. Like you said, Portland is just known for food in general, but the vegan scene is huge. And there's literally everything. There's vegan sushi, and it's amazing.
Well, that's my son, and it's funny that you refer to it as vegan sushi. So my 5-year-old, I would never call it vegan sushi. We call it vegetable sushi.
Oh yeah,
because he likes it, and it's got avocado, rice. It's got the nori paper, and there's sometimes it'll have asparagus in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's I think there's something about that. When you say vegan, it almost people
Yeah.
are like, you're not gonna get me to eat that.
Yes.
Hey,
Oh,
look, I made a vegetable salad.
right.
Like, or it'd be funny, like if you're like, hey, I have this vegan salad. What do you mean it's a vegan salad? Well, no shit, Sherlock. It's lettuce, tomato,
Yes.
cucumber. It's a freaking salad.
Tell me about it.
There's just, but why do you think there is such that stigma that comes with that? Your charitable organization, the Giving Wave, and folks, make sure you go onto Facebook and you look up the Giving Wave. Give them a like. If is there a button or anything there if somebody wanted to donate?
Yeah, it's on our Instagram.
It's on the Instagram, which is the same thing, the Giving Wave on the Instagram.
Yep.
So make sure you're going out and you're finding them, folks. But what do you think the stigma that so many people have this, like, I ain't gonna eat that as vegetables? Like,
I can answer that. Yeah, I can answer that. It's because, so here's the best way I can explain it. There are extreme people in every category of human, right? And those people are the loudest, they're the most annoying, they're the most judgmental, the most pushy, right? And so it's become a stereotype because those people are the loudest. It's also something they're very passionate about. I hate that. That's my least favorite thing, is judginess. It took me a really long time to use the label vegan because of that. However, I think it's important that I do, because I do back up the core idea of causing the least amount of suffering that you possibly can, preserving our environment and helping others, sharing. But the reason that it's become that way is because the people that you would call like extreme or whatever are the loudest. It's that simple. But that's the wrong way to go about it. Like, you need to be open and communicative with everyone.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to me because when you say that the loudest, I guess the first person that comes to mind to me is the vegan lady.
Who's that?
You've never seen her on TikTok? If you go on TikTok and just type in the vegan lady, she's like, have you ever heard that the soundbite where it's just somebody yelling, "Eat your vegetables"?
Yes.
That's the vegan lady.
Okay.
So but she was one of the ones, like you said, very loud, very pushy, very like in your face about where she's like, you're killing and you're this, you're that. And it was very over the top and very, very pushy in that way. But I get what you're saying. No one, it's the what's the workout thing that what's the workout group where
Orange Theory?
No, not that. We have those out our way now in Albany. It's the other one where they're flipping tires and they're doing all that. It's that
you're talking about.
I can't think of what it is. If somebody who's watching can remember what that.
Somebody knows.
Oh God, it's that type of work. I can't think of it.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. These gyms, but it's always funny to me these gyms because there's the big joke. They use the Fight Club. The first rule of it is to not tell. Well, the first rule of it is tell everyone. That's kind of like the vegan thing. First rule of being a vegan: tell everyone you're a vegan.
Right. I think people just get really passionate about it, which happens in every category. Like I said,
now, what's your and when you're first approaching these groups and saying to them, like, hey, you have amazing vegan food, like the Jewish vegan deli.
So good.
And what was the Japanese was Oban, and you're approaching them. I know San Francisco has a big thing where it always blows my mind, of all the cities in America, San Francisco, it's against the law to give meals to people on the streets, and to do that, it's against the law in San Francisco. If you didn't know that. Oh yeah. Which is so funny to me because that's where some of the most Democrat politicians, the biggest ones, and that's where Skid Row is, and that's their cities, and it's against the law there. There's a priest who went to jail multiple times for giving meals to people on the streets out there.
Is that because of sanitation, or what is
that's what they say it is? But this food is going to go into a dumpster, and what their argument is, oh, you can't do this. I don't know all the rules to it, but I believe that's the biggest thing is like all this food you don't know. What if somebody gets sick? I think that's the least of their concerns.
They're digging out of if you're in starvation mode, you're going to dig out of that dumpster anyways.
Right. So how does, because I don't know the law out there in Portlandia, which is a funny ass show if you've never watched it. I love that show.
I love it.
Out there in Portland, my favorite characters are the women who own the bookstore.
Oh, yes.
That is so great to me. But what is if you I want to go, like there's like a couple Seattle, Portland, and Austin are cities that I want to go to.
Absolutely.
And if you didn't know it, it's all because I want to eat there.
All those shows. Always Portland, right?
Come to Plant-Based Poppy.
What is it?
Come to Ben and Esther's. Come to Plant-Based Poppy.
I would go. Man, like I'm about all those things. If you've never been to Atlanta, Atlanta's a great eating city too.
Ooh,
but what is the rule? Like, are you guys safe out there to do this? Is there any rules about that, or like, did you have to find what those rules were? How did you even, or was it like, nope, I'm giving out food, I don't give a shit?
I think maybe a combination. I think, you're basically buying someone a meal prepared by a restaurant. So it's not like we are doing anything to it. I'm not cooking it in my kitchen. It's like I'm ordering someone a meal. Like these are prepared in a restaurant who has food safety requirements and they're up to the standards. So how could that be a problem? Like I'm literally ordering someone else meals ready to go. I pick it up straight from the restaurant, just like an Uber Eats would do, and delivering it straight to someone who needs it. So
see, in my mind right now, I feel like you two got together on this, and Faith was the one that was like, I'm just going and getting food and just giving it to people. And Christina was the one like, we need to look into the rules on this and make sure we don't get in trouble.
Actually,
am I right?
A background in restaurant management. So I was like, this is fine. This is fine. This
See,
is fine.
I knew it. No. I knew it. Okay. You had all the rules already figured out. There was no doubt in my mind about this. And I based that purely on the fact that when we were putting all this together, Faith was the one that was like, hey, I want to be on your show. Here's my shit. I'm coming on your show. Me and my friend, we're coming on. And then like I sent it all out, and Christina had everything like lined out. Like here's the information.
We're a good team this way.
We are a great team. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I had no doubt about it. See, I knew it.
But don't get us in trouble now. Like
look, there's 4 people that are listening. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
You're not gonna get in trouble.
You're not getting in trouble.
Pots over here.
We're gonna just stir this all around. So I think I know what your goal is, but what is the goal for you in Portland with all this? What are you hoping to achieve?
You want to say it?
I'll tell you, I have a much bigger vision for this thing than I think anyone even realizes. But the goal is to obviously help people who are struggling right now by serving them food. And also having conversations with them. Like I said earlier, it's so important to have conversations with people. It's important to listen to their stories. So I really want to get each individual's story and let them know that someone out there cares. Yeah. I also want to share that story. And I want to partner with other nonprofits. We're just supplying food, right? So I want to be able to say for certain people that want out of this situation and make it very clear, which is most of them, hey, I have a resource that has counseling. I have a resource with drug addiction help. I have a resource that does job placement or housing or whatever. But we're going onto the street and we're talking with these people while we share a meal. So we're getting all those insights. I want to refer people out to more help. While at the same time, obviously super passionate about the plant-based movement, the environment, sustainability. So I want to highlight vegan restaurants. I want to show people how delicious it is. I mean, you won't even know it's vegan. It's amazing. And then the environmental impacts are just insane. So you might as well do it all at once.
Yeah, and another huge thing for us is you've probably seen like spreading kindness. That's the idea of giving away.
Absolutely.
And when we're out there, we're meeting these people and we're hearing their stories. A lot of people are walking by and not taking the time to even acknowledge these people.
Yeah.
And, after COVID, just in Multnomah County alone, there's been like a study where they've had like 1,000 more people experiencing houselessness just due to like those circumstances. So yes, there's mental illness, there's drug addiction, there's different reasons people might be in those circumstances, but COVID happened to all of us, and it could have been me or my sister or somebody who had that circumstance. So I think that kind of changing the way people are looking at houselessness, and being able to be a voice and
rehumanize people, because it's really sad that people walk by like it's not even happening.
So uplifting the community is a huge point for us as well.
I mean, you guys were the center of a lot of news there in Portland, taking over they took over the block, the police station, all those different elements that were going on out there. Your community of houseless individuals out there, can you kind of give a view of what it is? I mean, I grew up on the East Coast, to me, I saw the Reagan era, shut it all down, push people that had mental health issues that needed treatment. Forget it. We're not going to pay for that anymore. Force them out onto the streets. Oh, well, it's not our problem. They'll go deal with it. What is the view in in Portland? I think sometimes even I do it. We kind of like cross those two cities over from each other. It's just
People
a thing.
Do, but we're our own place.
It's just one of those things we do. It's one of those things we do. But how would you, if you were going to make an avatar of the Portland person who's houseless, what do they look like? Does that make sense, that question?
I don't think that's fair to say.
It's not fair.
No.
It's a wide range.
Yeah. And I think
then you could say that, that then it is a wide range, because I always growing up, stay away from, they're crazy, they're that, they're this. Like, how would you characterize that person?
You can't do that.
I think people, experiencing these circumstances need a little bit of extra kindness, and they might need resources like mental health services. They might need addiction services. And if we're going to make an avatar of a person that looks like that, it's not going to be very nice, is it? But I think that, just going out there and having those conversations and helping them connect with resources like Faith was saying goes a long way, because some people don't even have access to like a shower or a fresh change of clothes or a restroom, right? So helping them take those first steps to rehumanize themselves in some cases.
If I could add a lot of people picture this person that's, they have a picture of someone that's living on the street in a certain way, but we have actually a really good video on our Instagram about someone who I would have never known was living in a tent, except for we saw him sitting outside of his tent reading a book, totally clean shaven, just normal guy, but he was sitting outside of his tent. And we approached him and we were like, hey, we have some free food. Would you like some? Do you want to talk? And we always ask people if they would like to share their story or they would like to say anything. And he was willing to. And his name is Kevin. And he actually works 2 jobs. And he moved from, I think, California.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And got laid off, I believe, because of COVID. And luckily for him, one of his jobs is a hotel. And so he's able to shower and shave and all of that. But he's struggling because when he got laid off, he used his credit cards for his income and his credit went to complete shit. So he can't get an apartment. He doesn't have friends or family here because he moved to Portland for the job. So when you say paint or do an avatar, it's like, no, there's just such a wide range. Like this guy's mentally there, clean shaven, has 2 jobs. You would never know. Then it ranges from that to to the other side where it's out of your mind, having mental illness and don't know how to take care of yourself. You know what I mean?
These are people that have obstacles in their way and they're struggling to overcome them or to cope with them. And so I think that's one thing they all have in common is, they're people struggling to overcome huge obstacles. Basic need of shelter should be basic right, but it's not, is it?
And that's what I'm looking for, because I think we all think of the houseless person as something we've seen on a movie
Right.
where it's the crazy bag lady pushing the cart, you know, talking to her thumb, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's that Skid Row dynamic that, a man on the streets, he's a drunkard, he ain't shit, and he's just bearing his problems. I watched the thing the other day. Um, you know, s- Whatever the guy was saying, he was like, I think he was actually mentioning marijuana. He goes, marijuana is not a gateway drug. Trauma is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Coping,
And
the cope in
Trauma.
healthy ways. Yeah.
Trauma is
it,
the
it, trauma is the gateway. And I feel like when we talk about this, and I want people to hear about these stories. I actually reached out to a buddy who wants to be a filmmaker, and I was like, hey, you need to be jumping on here. He's the kind of guy who would pack his stuff up and head out that way.
Come on.
Um,
yeah.
and I think that's what I want people to hear. Is I wanted to hear you say there's not a single person that this looks like,
Right.
that you don't
Individuals.
yeah, the guy that standing next to you at work, it may not be the job it might be an assembly line, it might be those other places. That person is houseless because he can't afford to live in a community that he used to live in.
Right.
He can't afford it. I mean, what is the market out there, that housing market now look like for where it used to be a place where that lower middle class could go and find a place
Mm-hmm.
to live? What does that look like now in Portland? I mean, you
It's
guys are right there.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely very competitive. A lot of people are moving from out of state, and there's not enough houses. So
A a house that costs $450 is a fixer upper.
mhm.
How what 450K is a fixer
Yeah,
upper?
that's a fixer. That's a fixer. The inventory is still low, so
So you guys
you
are still
have
having those issues. But now, do you still have the blight out there also?
to do it.
The blight, housing blight. They don't call it that out there.
Not
See, on the
familiar.
East Coast, in the East Coast, we call it blight, housing blight, where houses that have just gone empty, nobody lives in them. They've got the big red square on the side of the building because somebody from the city has come in and kind of nailed a thing to say no one can live in here.
Oh,
Condemned or something.
It's condemned, but it's called blight. We call it
Oh,
blight on the East Coast. It's a big thing, especially in New York.
haunted.
And
Just
yeah.
kidding.
what
No,
did
we
you
don't
call it?
have a lot of those, honestly. Like if there is a lot that's like that, maybe the owner's like not in state or something happens, people are figuring out who owns this lot. Like this is an opportunity. No, we don't have a lot of that out here. No.
Really? See that's a big thing here out our way is blight, and that's what it's called. It's interesting that it's not, you don't hear it that way, or you're not seeing it that way out there. We
No.
would say no, that's blight. That's housing blight.
Wow. Well, you just taught me something. So
Yeah.
So I'm trying to cheer myself up. I'm gonna just clap for myself here for a minute.
As you should.
So you're building these stories. That one gentleman you're talking about who has two jobs, he's out there. What are some of the assets that you've gained, or networking contacts that you've gained through doing the Giving Wave? And again, folks, make sure you're going on to Instagram, you're going on to Facebook, is there a Twitter? Yes, no, LinkedIn,
TikTok,
anything?
there's a TikTok.
TikTok?
Oh,
There,
the
I've
giving
seen some
way.
of the video. I have seen the videos of the Giving Wave on TikTok. I think we're following them.
Yeah.
So make sure you
Yeah.
go out and you give them a follow. You go find that button, and you give them a share, and you donate to this. But what are some of the assets through this that you found that you've been able to help people, through donating these vegan meals? And I'm telling you, folks, go find your local vegan restaurant. I promise you, we got one here in the Albany area. If you're in the Albany, Troy area and you're listening, go to the Hadley building where I work at, and go to Organa, it's called, and he does a pulled jackfruit
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
promise you, this pulled jackfruit sandwich with the vegan cheese is out of this world. And then he's got these like tater tots with or he calls it organa sauce. This shit's so
Making me
good.
hungry.
It reminds me of Polynesian sauce from Chick-fil-A is what it tastes like, which is so good. But see, you said because you've had it. You've had you some Chick-fil-A. You can't get away from
I've
it.
actually never had Chick-fil-A, but I've had meat and I've had all the sauces. So.
You can't get away from Chick-fil-A. It's just too
We need
good.
to put that on our list for when we get out that way, though, because we're trying to, we're trying to go everywhere.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
we
on our
want to
list
travel
now.
with this eventually.
That would be awesome. Well, come find us, and I'll introduce you to my daughters who know where all those places are. I don't know where any of them are, but what are some of the assets that you found to help these people out through this?
I think just building community, partnering with local vegan restaurants and helping them also gain awareness. And we've partnered with some other nonprofits where it's like, okay, we know where you can go get a shower today. We know where there might be clothes for you. Do you need a bus pass? We know, there's so many resources through these other nonprofits, not just like a few, like so many nonprofits where we're able to tell people, oh, there's a doctors that will come out to you.
Right. I have to do a shout out to PDX Saints, who's a nonprofit we've been communicating with, and they invited us to this really cool thing they do. It's basically like this parking lot with all these free resources. And so they have like haircuts, they have free food, produce, dry goods, plus hot meals. They have, like she said, the bus passes. I'm forgetting something. It's like this parking lot full of free resources.
Yeah,
right. And
cultivated incentives is one of them.
Yeah. And it's just amazing. So to be able to make those connections, and like I said, we're out there talking with these people. Not only are we sharing kindness, listening to their story, but we're also saying, hey, come check this out. We have this, we have that, because it's really all the same goal, which is to help each other. And we're just getting started. We are just getting started. So we're going to do a lot more soon.
How about any commonalities that you're finding with the folks that you're helping out? Are you seeing any commonalities that have kind of stuck out to you where you're like, wow, this person's in that same situation, connecting folks that are in those scenarios? Any commonalities at all?
Veterans is huge. I feel like for our population,
a lot of veterans,
minorities, addiction issues. I feel like
totally,
mental health issues,
which again comes from trauma, and there's definitely a lack of mental health help. Like
the veteran community, we're big on that one.
Yeah,
we're
right.
I can tell you why the veteran community is so bad about it. It's a simple answer.
Tell us, please.
Because most of your vets, we believe we're beyond the help. You don't understand what I've gone through. You don't know what I've done. And I'm a man. I can handle this shit myself. Even if it's a woman, she's a vet. She went into a field that is male dominated. And most women that are in those fields also have that similar mentality of, I'm a woman, I can handle this shit, I can take care of my own shit, I don't need you. And it's a fact. It's who we are as people. I will tell you, if you run into vets into those world, it's tough to get us to listen, but there is a ton of organizations. DAV is Disabled American Veterans. The American Legion and the VFW, as much as we just think they're drinking halls, that's like a completely sidebar thing for them. Their actual real stuff is their veteran advocacy groups. So that's a big thing for me. You may not know this. We lose 22 vets a day to suicide. That is a fact. That is a real number.
Yeah.
22 a day, because we're knuckleheads. As a vet, we're just knuckleheads. We're like, I don't need to listen. I don't need to talk to you. I can handle my own shit. And that's who we are. Suck it up, buttercup, move on. And that's what we were taught for many moons, and it sticks in our head. And, so that's where a lot of that comes from.
That's sad.
Do you have advice having, experience yourself, but how have you dealt with that mentality, or do you have advice for us interacting with people who might come across who have the mentality? Would be the best approach?
Find another vet.
Move on.
No, find another vet. Find another vet. Find another
Oh.
vet. It sounds so simple that really find another vet or just that's the biggest thing. I think most of us we only want to listen to another vet.
Oh, like a vet with us to connect to
Right.
that.
Yeah. You've got to find another vet who can listen to them and can communicate at their level.
Yeah, you hear that, like the brotherhood, right?
That camaraderie. It's funny. I didn't mean to get into any vet stuff, but I'll explain this to you so this makes sense to you. Everybody talks about how horrible boot camp is. Oh, they scream, they do this, they make you do this, that, and the other. That's actually, it's a form of psychological warfare that they're doing. So here's the way that works, and here's the logic behind it. I was 17 when I went to boot camp. I didn't understand what I was seeing or what I was going through, but here's the way it works, and here's why they do the things they do. So you're going to take for the Marine Corps. I'll use the Marine Corps, for example. All Marines on the east of the Mississippi go to Parris Island. All Marines west of the Mississippi go to San Diego. That's the way we do it. So you got to think about it. You're taking people from the Florida Panhandle to Maine on the East Coast. They have zero commonality. They don't know each other. They didn't grow up the same. They may have grown up in ducking gangs. They may have grown up very wealthy. They have no commonality. So you put them in Parris Island all together, and now they're going to have 3 to 5 drill instructors, depending upon the time of the year and how big their platoon is, screaming, hollering, yelling, basically coming at them. So now they all have a single thing in common: hatred of the drill instructor. Look, if you guys can't see it, Christina just had a light bulb go off. If you've never seen someone have a light bulb go off over their head, that's what I just watched as her face went, and she just smiled like, son of a bitch, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So what they do to us is we have a commonality of a hatred of the drill instructor. So this bonds everyone together against that one commonality. So when you get out, and you're no longer around somebody that you're bonded against the commonality. And granted, look, some of us do 4 years and more, but that person gets out and they've lost that. They don't have that.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that bonded you together, was the commonality of service or your unit or whatever. And a lot of times the service is a safety net for a lot of us, because you can blow your whole paycheck in the military and still go to the chow hall and eat. You can spend all your money on booze, but still have a roof over your head. You'll always have electricity. You'll always have hot water. You'll always have a food. You get out, do those things. They're not there anymore. And a lot of us weren't taught to keep going, how to do that. They didn't figure out how to do that. They didn't learn how to do that. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people that didn't learn those things, or they're also dealing with mental things that, again, how do you explain that? You know, they can't explain to you what it was like to be the first Marines to go into Fallujah. They can't. You'll never get it. And that's what you're seeing out of a lot of them. It's a new homeless population, you know, or those service members. There's a gap in there where you had the Vietnam era on the streets, and then they faded away, and then we had no wars, and then you have these guys that have only known that for you don't realize it. The war really started in 2001. So you have service members retiring as of last year that have only known combat. After 20 years, they've never seen a time in their service time where we were not at war. We've never had that before.
Something you said really stuck with me is, like, if you're going in at 17, you know, those are the ages where people are going off to the dorms or college and finding their independence. And if you're learning how to survive and dealing with trauma, and then you just get out and you never got to learn those skills. Like, I actually never thought about it that way. So you just shed a lot of light on that for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so when you see that guy, try to guy or gal, and it is gals too, especially in today's military where everybody wants equality. You can equally go to combat and you can equally get shot at. Welcome to equality. And that's what that is. So we have gals out there also who have been through those things. And when you see them, the best thing for them is try to get them with one of those veteran service organizations. They know the language, they speak the language. You know, it's like if I said to you, FISBO, you know what I mean? You know what a FISBO is, right? That makes sense to you. But if I said to you, I was in 2nd MARDIV, that don't mean shit.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's
you guys are sharing so much. You guys are sharing of your heart. That is huge. There is no greater thing that we can do as people than what you're doing. Was there something in your lives, and I don't mean to get too personal, but this is things like this that make me very interested. Was there something in your lives that happened that you said you experienced when you were younger that made you want to do this, or just made this come to you and say, I gotta go do this?
I don't want to speak for you, but I think that one thing we both have in common is that we have a passion for doing what's right. And if we see something that maybe people are not taking action because it's normalized not to do so, but we know that taking action is the right choice, we're not scared to go against the grain to do the right thing. We have a passion for making sure that we're creating justice where maybe there is no justice. If we're able to do it, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, no, I think people get stuck in a group mentality where they just do.
You froze on me. Did I lose you?
Oh no.
No, they're frozen.
We're back.
Are we still frozen? Now you're frozen.
We froze for a minute.
Like no one's frozen.
Like who was frozen? You were frozen. I was frozen. See, you were frozen on my end.
Were we still frozen?
Nope, we're not frozen anymore.
Okay. Okay. He looks frozen.
I think he's frozen.
I don't know if we're frozen or who's frozen or
what is going on. See, I asked a
those
good
ghosts
question.
Would be invited in, you know.
Yeah.
That look, I'm telling you, I'm surprised Nathan's not here. It's very odd for Nathan to not pop in yet. It's very odd that normally Nathan would have popped in by now, and he would have already asked what your favorite foods are. That's his thing. He likes to ask everybody what their favorite foods are. But I lost you there, Faith. So what was it? Was there anything in your youth that kind of made you push towards this? Anything that you experienced?
I think that I've always just been. I can feel, like when I walk into the room, usually I can pick up on other energies, other people's mood. We all can. You feel like someone's depressed or whatever, you kind of absorb that a little. And if someone's happy and they walk into the room, same thing. Well, my ability for that might be a little bit heightened or something, but I just can't not, I guess it's empathy. Like I can't not feel that when someone else is feeling something. So it's been that way since I was a child. I can't not.
Now, you thought I was messing with you a minute ago. I sent Nathan a text message. I said, where are you? You ready?
Is he under your desk?
What's your favorite food? So many good choices. It's hard.
Now, I know Faith, Kristen, are you a vegan also?
I've been vegetarian for almost 20 years, and I am trending more towards vegan, but I'm not going to say I'm vegan. I'm vegetarian.
You still like a good omelet?
My son, I have an almost 2-year-old son. He's highly allergic to eggs. So eggs is not like something, but I'm trying to get better at like reading labels, because you'd be surprised. Like I'm good at knowing what has eggs in it now, but you'd be surprised like what has butter in it or honey or something that you wouldn't expect.
And everything.
Yeah.
You won't eat honey? Hold on. That is the most natural of natural foods.
It's not a vegan.
Nothing, but here's the thing. Nothing with honey. Honey doesn't have a face.
That's a hot topic. You know, some people
I could
do and
speak
some
on it.
people don't.
Like honey doesn't have a face.
I could speak on it.
Speak on that.
Okay.
And you still didn't answer what your favorite food is, so we got to get that here in a minute.
Well, I don't do favorites very easily. If I do pick a favorite, it changes. So
Mexican food, the groovy floret.
I like Indian food a lot.
Oh, I love Indian vegan is the shit.
I know. Yeah.
I will give you that one.
I love the spices.
Like they have figured out vegan, especially Southern Indian, because most of what we know of Indian food is Northern Indian.
You need to come to Portland. You need to come to Portland.
I'm telling you, there's a fat kid that lives in my soul that knows all this shit, and I watch all these food shows.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like most Indian food that we know it is Northern Indian, Punjabi, and it's very heavily that way because it is what it is. Just like when I love people that are like chicken tikka masala. That's actually an English dish made by Indians.
I'm not surprised at all.
It's very like, it's like, this isn't a traditional Indian dish. This is a dish made for the English by Indian people with their like, it's a whole thing.
I 100% believe you.
And see, and here's why Nathan always says that the show, when I ever have a glitch that the show's haunted, we had Patty Negri on. Patty is the medium for like ghost whisperers and all these other things, and she's been on the show.
I like it.
And anytime I have somebody on that's like anywhere connected to that, my show just goes to shit. It just falls apart.
Weird. So weird.
It is. So what? I still didn't get a favorite dish from you. We'll figure it out here. But what's the honey thing? Tell me the honey thing. I know we're like on 5 topics right now. So honey doesn't have a face.
Bear with me here. Listen.
All right.
Hear me out.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
And I'm not. It's like it's obviously not the same as eating a burger, right? Eating a dead cat. It's not the same thing, right? It's honey. But hear me out. There are some things which vegans can justify not doing it for. First of all, not necessary. You don't really need it. Second of all, the bees themselves are actually genetically modified to produce more honey, but not pollinate. And so when they are out there, you're raising these honeybees for honey, they're actually competing with actual pollinating bees in the actual environment. And you can look into it. Again, I'm not saying it's the same thing at all, but there's an environmental aspect to that. They also have to crush the male bees to extract the semen when they're breeding them. Again, this is industrial, like large scale stuff.
Okay. Because I have a lot of friends that are beehive like
absolutely, and that you can say that with lots of different things, right? Like there's friends that have eggs in their backyard versus eggs you buy from the grocery store.
Right, totally different.
I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm trying to highlight why there is that argument on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you know what one of my favorite? I love the term free range.
Do you?
Oh, you know why? Because it's the biggest load of bullshit.
Thank you. That's just to like
because all free range means is we didn't put you in a cage that was like just big enough for 2 of you to stick in. We just made the chicken stand asshole to elbow.
We open the door, they can't even actually get out there because they're too cram packed and their legs
right. There's nothing to it. Like when they say like these are free range chickens, no, they're not.
Bullshit.
They weren't walking around in a yard or something like that.
No. It's to make the buyer feel better about themselves.
That's well, another one. You want to really ruin people's day. Did you know did you know the word organic is trademarked?
Oh, I'm not surprised at all.
So if you go look up the term organic is trademarked. So there is a particular food company, I don't remember who it is, that actually trademarked the term organic so that they can produce anything they want and say organic food, and it'll have the TM at the end of it. Doesn't mean that it's organic.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
That's all. That's all those things. But I'm not trying to get into like a whole, because like I said, my daughters are vegetarians and vegans. I always make sure I have meals for them. Like I make an amazing potato salad, and no bitches, there ain't no raisins in it. For anyone who wants to ask that question,
why would raisins?
I don't know. That's a whole thing where people are like, you make potato salad with raisins. I don't put raisins in my food.
I didn't know that was
There
a
will
thing.
be a lot of Old Bay in there though, because that's my deal. But there's a whole thing about my daughters are like, I hunt, and they're like, they're
Yeah.
okay with that because they're like, we get it. You hunt and you eat
Yeah.
what you have because it's you. They aren't going to eat it, but they know that like, hey, it's okay. You
Mhm.
the one won't let me take my new grandson. He's less than a year old. I'm like, he's going hunting with Pop Up, but she's like, no,
Oh,
that's not happening. I'm like, that
the
shit's going
vegan or the
down.
vegetarian or neither?
The vegan
Okay.
won't.
Mhm.
My other granddaughters, they're like, we love you, Pop Up. We'll eat what you cook, but we're not going out in the woods with you. That's your shit.
Yeah.
They like princess dresses and things like that, and they're very artistic. My one daughter's a tattoo artist. She does amazing work.
Oh, nice.
Um, I like I can't show you my leg. I'll show it like I've got tattoos from her, but nonetheless. But I
Awesome.
was curious, what are your and you were kind of like, yeah, no, you weren't like, you're the devil. Um, what is your feeling on the other side where people are like, look, sustainable harvest, sustainable things like that?
Right.
Have have you looked into any of that from I know your organization it's vegan food that you're donating, but have
Right.
you ever looked into any of those charitable this is my best friend Ken. He's so full
What's
of
this?
shit. I found a raisin in my
Oh,
potato. You never found a raisin. If you found a raisin, bro, that was a fly that landed in your food.
That's
I'm
what I'm saying.
sorry.
There's one
Like
reason. That was a
you,
fly.
like you found a fly. I'm
You
sorry.
found a
We were outside when we were eating. You found a
fine.
fly
Good
and you ate
protein.
it. You had a
Ooh.
protein. You had protein in your shit. But have you ever looked into any of those groups that like make sure that they're working for very sustainable, products and very sustainable things of that nature, or is it like, nope, our thing is vegan. That's where we're at. Or have you
what
thought about anything?
we what we have done is challenge restaurants to come up with vegan options if maybe they don't have strictly vegan a
Yeah.
strictly vegan menu. So we've kind of like challenged them to come up with vegan options and work with them.
Yeah, we will work with non-vegan restaurants, but I would encourage them to create a vegan meal. It's actually less ingredients. Like they can do beautiful things, and it expands their creativity. I think that it's really important to not just work with vegan restaurants, but to also work with non-vegan restaurants. But I do want to stick to vegan meals.
And Nate is absolutely right. I know so many stupid facts. That's why I forget passwords all the time. That's what I blame it on. That I don't think it's the bourbon in any way, shape, or form.
No, never,
Which is
never.
vegan. If you didn't know it, bourbon is vegan.
Okay,
Like
yes.
this is a fact. It's vegan. That's
Yeah,
my other thing though is,
good for the soul.
and since you're both vegetarian, vegan, if anyone's thinking about this lifestyle, and I think that's really what it is. It has to be a lifestyle choice that you go into and you change how you do things.
Mhm.
It's really an epigenetics thing, also, in my opinion, because it's you're kind of changing the way your body functions at that point and taking a lot of all these extra hormones out of it, extra antibiotics that you don't need, and you're removing those things from your diet. I promise you will feel better. I think
Yes,
about it all the time, but
yes.
it's tough for somebody like me who I do a lot of road time in my job. So, you're like,
Music?
oh,
Road.
road time. Like, so I'm on the road a
Road.
lot. Road. That's that Baltimore accent you're hearing. It's
Yeah.
sometimes
Oh,
it's hard. Words like road. I'm on the road deer hunt all the time. I go out there and I'll get what I need to get done. But, um, what is it? Some of the things that you would say as somebody who's been into doing this for a long time that you've experienced that you would say, hey, here's some of the pitfalls. I know what I've seen from, again, I watched my daughter start it
Mhm.
and I know what the pitfalls were. Look, Twinkies don't have anything real in them. So,
Oh God, no. Yeah.
but do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it wasn't Twinkies, but there was a lot of that initially, like, well, I can eat this because it doesn't have
Mhm.
those things in it. What are some of the pitfalls that you've experienced?
Uh, for me, the hardest part for me has just been other people. If I'm being completely honest, it's been that, like we were talking about earlier, the stereotype, and it's like other people's judgment has been literally the hardest part. I have learned to read labels, like I just go basically, and I'm really good at it. But I'll tell people this all the time. It's not that I can't have it; it's that I literally have learned so much about it that I do not want it at all in my life. And I can say that I feel a million times better. Like, I've never been a runner my whole life, but when I made the switch after a couple months, all of a sudden I would wake up with so much energy where I was like, I have to go run. I think I need to run. Like, I don't know. I can't explain it other than that. I don't know if everyone's body will vibe with it as much as I have, but I've never had any cravings of anything or like none of that shit for me. Like, it's just, it works. So.
Yeah.
How about for you there? Because you're more vegetarian. You said you're leaning.
Yeah, I'm learning more about like vegan options and how to incorporate that in my life. And I've been vegetarian for 20 years, so I have like this set, like when I go to the grocery store, I know I'm gonna get, right? So I have to relearn what am I gonna get when I go to the grocery store. Portland, we have so many amazing vegan restaurants, but sometimes like going out with friends, if you're not the one picking the restaurant, that can be kind of hard. Like, okay, like I think kind of like other people's judgment of you, like, oh, she's not gonna eat, like she's too good to eat this. Like, maybe I just don't want to eat French fries for dinner tonight, like.
Right. That's the other.
Yeah.
But oh God, have you ever had poutine?
Yeah, we have vegan poutine here. Yeah.
Vegan poutine. I don't know.
You have to try it. Have you?
This like.
Yes.
And you'll be like, what the fuck?
I don't know. Oh, that vegan poutine. That would be a tough one for me. Yeah, I say water. Water. Yeah, it's a thing. I don't know. It's look, in Baltimore. There's actually if you get a chance, go on YouTube and you look up like Baltimoreese or Baltimore accent. It's an entire language thing where.
Okay.
We're horrible. We butcher there is no culture that I've ever experienced that butchers the English language more than we do. It's a whole thing. And Nate's from Baltimore also. He knows what I'm talking about. We go places and people are like, so are you from like Georgia or Alabama? I'm like, nope, I'm from Baltimore. And they're like, huh.
That's what that is.
That's what that is. And Ken says it. I don't know why people can't respect your diet decisions without the judgment. And it's so weird. Like I know for me, one of the things I've always said, like if I had to go, like my doctor was like, you got to go into a diet. I would say pescatarian is one that for me, I would be very comfortable with. And a lot of people are like, oh, I hate fish. How could you eat fish?
Yeah.
My house, like when we put fish on the table, I have to argue with my sons, like, leave me something to eat.
Aw.
And they're like,
no,
seriously? I'm like, like when you go to the grocery store and you buy like the bags of fish, like and we don't buy the breaded. I don't like breaded. And we buy like my kids are like, Dad, how many do you want? I'm like, I want at least 2 fillets. They're like, okay. Because they will blow through all of it, all of them, all my sons. But that's what we want, and it's a healthy option. See if I can get. My daughter just was like, "Oh my God, you're doing that right now," because I told her beforehand. I was like, "Jump on, and this is all your conversation." So, so we've got this. Any website, anything? Because we're in an hour. You guys good?
Instagram is huge for us. So check out our Instagram. As we
grow.
Did you
just say the gram? Did you just say the gram?
The gram. Check out the gram. The giving wave.
Does your silhouette give you energy? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
Let me go find it. That's so great. That was so funny. For those of you who are on Instagram, you know what I mean by my silhouette gives me energy. How's that song go?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Well, no, I thought you guys knew it. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, we have so many things to Google now. It's like the fourth thing on the list. Okay.
I feel like I'm the old guy here. Like I should know all these things.
It might be like different targeting, like the East Coast, like the things that are like coming up on your thing are different,
I feel like you're right. Like this is very interesting. Like we like throwing out things. Like I'm really surprised you didn't know the term like housing blight.
No.
Yeah. I was like, what is he talking about?
Like that's a huge, huge thing here on the East Coast. Like I guess we still get do you still get squatters out there a lot on the West Coast?
I feel like that happens, right? I don't know.
Like we get
it's not like every block or every few blocks. It's like very far and few in between, and it doesn't last for long.
Yeah, see, on the East Coast, that's a thing. Squatters and blight, and you at least know what a trap house is, right?
Yeah. The ones that get like blown up after a couple weeks or something, right? They usually catch on fire. No, I know what a trap. I'm just saying.
I'm like,
Yes.
well, no, that's a meth. That's a meth. That's a meth house. That's meth that they burn down because they just you can't get high on your own supply.
Yeah, that
But I just I want to go to Portland. I just feel like that's such a cool city. Like
It
yes.
really
I feel
is.
like you guys have a very cool city out there, and that it's just a lot of it's got to be a lot of fun just hearing the layout of it and everything you got going on. And it just seems like, after watching Portlandia, like
Oh.
Yeah.
no, like hold on, Christina, why you give Portlandia the?
I feel like they kind of like put a stereotype out there for us. Like there's so much more to us
Yeah.
in Portlandia, though. You have to just come see it for yourself and then decide.
See, I feel that way about shows like The Wire, and
Yeah.
so growing up in Baltimore, like I talk to people, I'm like, yeah, I'm from Baltimore, and they're like, that's a hard ass city. I'm like, I guess if you want to go to the wrong neighborhood and you're trying to buy heroin, I don't do that. That's not the Baltimore I grew up in. But
Yeah.
I really I understand exactly what you mean, because we end up with shows like you have shows that make Portland look like this weird odd place.
Yeah.
Like
It might
there's
be,
Portlandia. What's the other one? There's like an animated version too. Like there's like an animated show about Portland. Whatever they all are, we end up with like Homicide, Life on the Streets,
Yeah.
The Corner, and The Wire. Like I end up with shows about like you're just gonna die of either OD or someone shooting you.
And that's what people think, right? When they, okay, Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't get the food shows. Like the only food show is what's his name, Duff from the Food TV network that did all the cake. Like he was the original cake guy that did all the wild cakes and everything. Charm City Cakes. He was Baltimore, and that was Duff. And then they had Cake Boss, who he's an idiot. I don't like him. He's not Duff. He's not Duff.
Oh.
Duff is the original. Duff.
Okay.
Do you like Cake Boss? Do you like Cake Boss?
No, but I mean, it was a pretty like hard statement there. Like I didn't.
Yeah, he's not, because he's not Duff. Duff was like, he was the original guy that like the first time I ever heard somebody say that they used was that fondant? Have you ever eat that? Love
Okay,
it.
fondant, yeah.
That stuff's so gross. It's so gross. It's like silly.
moldy.
It's like cakes. Yeah, it's like cake silly putty. You don't know what it's like cake version of silly putty.
I've seen the shows where they do that. Like, yeah,
There's,
bake with
yeah,
it.
like they make the cake and you're like, oh my god, this is like, it looks so real.
Wait, what
It's
is
all
it actually?
fondant. It's
Hard
just like,
sugar.
yeah, that's it. It's like hard, like sugar silly putty that you can like mold around things.
Sounds
It's crazy.
awful.
to eat.
How about any event? Because we're going to get ready to wrap this thing up. We're going to close the bar here soon. But any events, any charitable events that you guys have coming up where if people want to be a part of, if they want to donate, or if they're out there on the left coast, they can go to?
Yes, this is pretty far out, and we're just barely in the beginning stages of it. But we are going to be part of a fundraiser next year where people will be able to rappel off one of the tallest buildings in Portland, like from the top to the bottom.
Yes.
And they donate some money, and it's going to go to, they're still deciding what nonprofits. We're going to be one of them, but the money all gets donated to several different nonprofits that will benefit the Portland area. So
over the edge.
that's so I don't think that the name of the fundraiser is even out yet. So
okay.
I might get in trouble for saying anything, but that's going to be next year in August.
Like the people who own the building don't know that someone's going to jump off of it yet? Like,
No,
is that what we're saying?
They know. They
okay,
know,
so they know people are coming off of their building.
I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying anything. We're just in the beginning stages of planning.
Stay tuned. Follow that Instagram and Facebook.
So
it's going to be really cool. Really, really, really cool.
Exciting things to come.
Yeah.
So I'll have to there's, and he's absolutely right. My brain half the time doesn't work and I forget people's names.
Water.
So we actually have one of our guests, a guy I follow still, and he actually does naked base jumping.
Whoa!
And
does he want to come to Portland and
that's why I was just thinking. I was like, wait a sec. God, if my brain would work right now. He does all this stuff, and it's not Nathan, it's not Brian, Taylor Cole.
Okay.
God, I'll have
him.
to reach out to Taylor and
Meet him.
say something to him, because he actually is out there on the West Coast, and he does like all these wild things and skydiving and base jumping and all that. That would be
Love it.
right up his alley. So when you get that together, please
Yeah.
reach out to me so I can send Taylor a link, because he's actually one of the smartest guys I know, and what you guys do is right up his alley. He has a company he just recently started who actually figured out for autistic children, how to use different lights and light therapy to read them stories, and figured out how to, where they retain the information and are able to tell the story and understand the story through the lights.
Wow,
He's
I got
amazing.
chills. That's really cool.
He's like DARPA. If you know what DARPA is, he's like DARPA level intelligent, which is the defense organization that like comes up with like wild defense things. He's like on this special level of understanding that I don't even get it. He's one of the coolest guys in the world to talk to. You're like,
yes.
like he's on that level where you're like, I'm glad I can tie my shoes.
We need that guy. I want to meet him.
Taylor Cole. We'll have to figure it out if he's out there watching right now. So again, don't log off. I got to talk to you guys for a moment afterwards.
Okay.
So don't log off on me. So where can people find you guys, and where can they locate you again if they want to be involved, if they want to donate, if they want to just follow you on social media? Where can they go?
The Giving Wave on all platforms.
Everything. We're going to get a LinkedIn page, right?
Yes.
We're working on it. So definitely Instagram, Facebook, TikTok are probably the main ones at the moment.
Yeah.
We're working on it. We'll have a website soon. Like I said, we're under a year, but we're doing a lot. We're moving quickly. So yeah.
So we got all that going on. We got the deal next year. Anything else, like if they're in the Seattle area, or Seattle, God, I keep doing that. Portland area. I don't know why I keep doing it. If you're in the Portland area and they wanted to reach out, maybe they wanted to help with anything.
Yeah. We
Any
can
email address or anything.
Yeah. givingvegan@gmail.com is our email address. You can, if you get onto our social media too, like all that information's on there, email address, phone number might even be on there. But yeah, givingvegan@gmail.com.
Okay. givingvegan@gmail.com. As always, folks, if you're enjoying what you're hearing here now, if you're a new listener, if you're just finding us through the Giving Way, make sure you like, share, follow all. Oh, look at that. They did a little wave thing, like threw me completely off there. Make sure you reach out to us, the Above the Bar podcast. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. It's all the Above the Bar podcast, our parent network. Make sure you give everybody else, like Angry Geeks and all of them, a follow on the Earplug Podcast Network. Reach out to all those folks. Malia McKay says, what an amazing nonprofit. If you're throwing your hands up, you ladies are killing it. I gotta, Malia, I have to agree with you. That I think they're killing it. So make sure you reach out and you follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. It's all the Above the Bar podcast. Now, again, ladies, don't log off on me. We'll stick around for one moment here. And as we always do here on the Above the Bar podcast, you ladies get the last word. So what's the final word? You guys can figure out who goes first.
Follow us on Instagram. That's the biggest thing. Follow us. You can stay in tune with what's going on.
And I would say kindness is a wave that ripples far and uplifts all. So be kind.
Alrighty, folks. Be sure to push your stool in.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation. Found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.